Welcome to the first episode of Break the Chain, the podcast hosted by me, John from ARTV. This is mainly going to be a solo venture, and if you were not supporting on Patreon already, these come there first, like a week or two early. At the time of recording this, I haven't quite decided and figured it all out yet, but by the time you're listening to this over on ARTV Extras, then you definitely are in the loop at this point as to what's going on. I've probably made an announcement video, and you know that $5 or more per month patrons get this exclusively. They get an exclusive intro, they get some other cool stuff. So if you're able to, it's the top link down below if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube. There's a new goal set on Patreon as well to maybe make the podcast more often. And obviously, there's an option to add video if we get to a certain goal at some point too. So you can catch these on ARTV Extras like a couple of weeks late, or if you want to get it first and whenever it's current, then you can support on Patreon. $5 or more gets you subscribed to the podcast. That's at least 2 episodes per month. Let's get this thing up and running. I trust you. I trust you guys. I know you want more, hopefully. Maybe not. Maybe you just want me to shut up and make less content. But from what I could see whenever I polled people, like, do you think I'm making enough content? And most people were like, yeah, but I like to hear opinions on more things. And I think that this is going to be a good outlet for me because, like I talked about, I'm not going to go into detail like I did at the intro. But basically, this is going to be my outlet to not just talk about things music related, because I get tired of that sometimes, and I just get so in my head about it, and it stresses me out, it brings me down, and it sometimes it just affects my enjoyment of music. So I want this podcast to be fun. I want it to be funny. I want to tell stories. I want to talk about life, my life, what I see going on in the news, what I see trending. Maybe I just want to rant about something, and you guys always seem to miss like ranted out and problems I have with and stuff. Sometimes I just don't always have enough for a video, so this is a good way. And you know, sometimes I just can't get it out, like Jesse Lacey from Brand New would say, and this is gonna be my way. I'm gonna make plenty of cheesy jokes, so make sure you stay tuned to Break the Chain with John from ARTV. So there's a few things that I want to talk about. I've just kind of loosely written down some notes, and I want to say that well, first of all, I think I should say a thank you because I've been heavily inspired by Cody Ko. He's probably my favorite YouTuber online personality right now. He's on a lot of different platforms, but I think YouTube and I guess also his podcasts are kind of his main ventures, but he also does acting. Obviously, he has 2 podcasts now, and I've been hugely inspired by Cody Ko. Obviously, his podcast Insanely Chill has been something that I've been listening to for a while, and now he has the Tiny Meat Gang podcast with his friend Noel, which is hilarious. I do support them on Patreon, so shouts out for the inspiration. And yeah, maybe I can take away and just be, 50% less funny than them. Even if I hit that threshold, then I'm doing something right. I'm trending in the right direction at least. Cody Ko, he's a really interesting personality. He went to Duke, which is in North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. My grandpa went to Duke, and that's something that's really fascinating to me because I've always seen it as like this really like uppity and exclusive school. And my grandpa actually left me money whenever he passed away. That was all the way back in like 2008, 2009, I think. And he left me money for college. And I think that he wanted me to go to Duke, but that is a very exclusive school. And my grandpa was not like the pressuring type, so he never really mentioned that to me. But it's just crazy to see somebody like Cody go to Duke. He was on the diving team. I didn't know that there were diving teams at Duke, but that's awesome. And it just really interests me whenever somebody is into so many different things. Like they got their toes dipped in, wow, I didn't even mean to make the water reference, but there it goes. They've got their toes dipped in so many different waters. And Cody does it all. He acts. He obviously has 2 podcasts now, and he does music with Noel, films. He was on Vine back in the day. He's making content on YouTube. So yeah, that's pretty cool that he's able to do all of those things. And it's really just interesting whenever you see a multifaceted person like that. a lot of people lately have been telling me like, oh, you know, like it's great to diversify and everybody's like doing all sorts of different things. And I was looking through the news and I've been seeing a lot of talk lately about Justin Bieber and like his newfound like religion and whatever else he's been into. I mean, he had a new song drop not too long ago, which was fine. And it just kind of got me back into this weird Bieber phase. And it's not like I ever really had one in the first place, but what I wanted to talk about is just, it's crazy how far it's come, especially for like men. I feel like listening to Justin Bieber. Like years ago, if you were listening to Bieber at my school, like he was a thing whenever I was in like my junior and senior year of high school. Like he was Kid Raul on YouTube. And then, you know, he blew up and was this really kind of like cheesy, teeny, poppy singer. And he was like dominating and taking over the world. And people were just like, Justin Bieber's gay. You're gay if you like Bieber. And so needless to say, I kind of shut down any notion that I might have had about sharing my love for some of his songs early on. I shut that shit down quickly because I went to a Christian school in the South, so wasn't exactly the most accepting place in the world. I had a group of friends that I was cool to be myself around, especially music-wise, but Justin Bieber, like, when did this happen? When did it, and just in general, back then, it was so, like, easy to hate on Bieber. And I feel like now he's the target for his antics, not his music. And people will be, like, bumping, like, I'll show you, or what do you mean, or where are you now? All of his question-related songs. They'll be bumping all of those songs in the car and be like, bro, you hear this new Bieber song? One with Blood Pop, Friends. Yeah, I got friend-zoned once. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Like, Bieber gets it. Like, he's in our shoes. Like, he's right there with us. And I feel like we, like, made progress somehow, especially in America. Like, to the point in just the past 10 years, less than that, that we've gone from Bieber and his music, gay, automatically, if you listen to it and you're a guy, to, oh, you know what? That song's actually a pretty cool jam. And I gotta say, lately, I've been grooving to some of those tunes on the most recent album. Like, I'll admit that it's obviously pretty cringy to go back to his early teeny pop stuff. Like, One Less Lonely Girl, I'm Looking at You One Time. You're gonna tell me one time, but you tell me about 100 times in the song. His new stuff, like off of Purpose. You know, that wasn't that bad of an album at all. And this song Company has been coming back to me in recent days. I've been playing it a lot. And it's strange whenever I latch onto a song that's like a little bit older because I'm not used to doing that. Really at all. You know, whenever you listen to as much music as I do, and you come across all of these new artists, and there's always new albums coming out, it's rare that you just like suddenly like stumble across and find something that you liked from a couple of years ago that you didn't necessarily save to a playlist. So coming back to that just randomly one day, this sounds really weird, but for some reason in my recommended videos on YouTube, Justin Bieber's Christmas album was recommended to me. And I think it was Fa La La featuring Boyz II Men. And I thought to myself, it's like one of those moments where you're like, what did I watch that YouTube decided, oh yeah, this guy, like, oh yeah, you know, he just watched that, like, that drum cover, he just watched a montage of fails, and he watched the new music video from Green Day. Yeah, let's recommend him Justin Bieber. Okay, let's go with the Fa La La Christmas album, Christmas just around the corner. Let's put that in his recommended feed. So, it's about 3 in the morning, that pops up in my recommended, and I'm kind of out of it, I'm kind of dreary, I'm kind of sleepy, and I click on it, and I'm just like, you know what, this isn't that bad, and then I listen to Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, and that reminded me of this really, really funny story. I'll get to that in just a second, but I do want to say Company, and I'll show you absolute bops. Seriously, if you haven't listened to them in a while, trust me, Company is like that tropical song with an amazing bass line that should have been an amazingly big hit, like Sorry, What Do You Mean, and Love Yourself. And I like all of those songs. Those are all great singles. Company was a late single, and I think it only charted in the top 40, and that is a crime. So the funny story that I have involving Bieber's Mistletoe or Under the Mistletoe album, I think that came out in 2011, and that was the year after I graduated high school. So obviously, my friends and I were like a little bit more like out of the box, and we're like, all right, it's okay. Those of us who like some pop music, we can actually talk about it now. But one night, my buddy accidentally butt dials me. And this was in one of my old vlogs. Like, the stories that I tell to you in this, I don't want to be like one of those story time things where, oh, I just exaggerate like crazy. The stories that I tell you are going to be, to the best of my knowledge, as accurately as I remember them. And I do want to tell stories on this podcast because I feel like I've got a few good ones under my belt, you know? I've lived a quarter of a century at this point. Like, fucking come on. Like, I gotta have something to tell, right? No, I probably don't. Some of you are probably typing right now if you waited for this video to come out on ARTV Extras. John, stick to the reviews. We don't want to hear you talk about your life. Anyways, so this mistletoe story, my buddy, he accidentally butt dials me one night, and I used to work at a movie theater, and I had just gotten off work, and I remember recording, like, with my old vlog camera, I recorded him because he had been talking about the week before how he was like, this new Justin Bieber Christmas album just looks kind of lame. Like, I don't know, like, I've liked some of his songs. He's, like, playing it cool. You know how people do. You know how, like, bros do around each other. Not that I bro out really at all these days. Maybe I would. I kind of wish I did a little bit more sometimes just so I would have more stories these days. But, you know how, like, guys get around each other. If you're a guy, maybe you know. Or even if you're a girl and you bro out, you know, with your girlfriends. You know what I'm talking about. You know, broing out, sissing out. That just sounds like an insult. I'm going to continue the story. He butt dials me, and he had been talking some shit about Under the Mistletoe. Not really, like, just kind of like saying, like, it kind of sounds lame. Like, Justin Bieber Christmas album, who asked for that? He calls me, and this motherfucker leaves me on the phone for, like, until I hang up. And I'm on there for a good 2 minutes. The dude is driving around in his car, blasting Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire by Justin Bieber. And he's singing along every single word. Every damn word. This dude's just going note for note. And I'm laughing. And I'm saying his name, and I'm just like, bro, are you there? And his phone sounded like it was, like, in his back pocket, because it was, like, obviously kind of muffled. And I think that this was 2011, so this was before iPhones, or at least before the majority of people had iPhones. I did not have an iPhone at that time. I don't think, maybe I had just gotten one. No, I think I had just gotten one, actually. So he did not have one. He had a flip phone. And that's how, I guess, he butt dialed me. And he stays singing. He goes on to the next song, too, and I think it was, like, Little Drummer Boy or something with Busta Rhymes. How much did Justin Bieber's label pay for Busta Rhymes to feature on Under the Mistletoe, an intimate Christmas album with Justin Bieber? Such an R&B vibe there, and, I'm over here waiting for him to spit something like, Look at Me Now, the Chris Brown song where he's like, oh wait, that was Rap God, sorry, wrong flow. You get the point. Anyways, I call him the next day, because we were supposed to hang out anyways. And I said to him, hey dude. And he's like, oh, hey man, what's going on? I was like, what have you, I was like, what, do you have any more music recommendations for me? Like, what have you been listening to lately? And, he just kind of, it wasn't unnatural, but he just kind of was like, nothing really, just, my playlist. This dude was like my best friend at the time. So he's like, what's in my playlist, that kind of stuff. And I was like, really? Nothing new in the mix? And he was like, not really. And then I started playing back to him. I was on speakerphone and I had my computer there next to me. I start playing back the recording of him singing. He hangs up the phone, texts me, and says, what the fuck? Like, how did you get that? And I was like, you butt dialed me. And that's going in the vlog. It's funny, I bring him up. I used to go over to his house all the time, and I'm not much of a gamer per se, but I felt like that was where like I would do like the most intense gaming of my life was like over at his house. Like I didn't like have like Xbox Live back in the day or anything. And we met in like '07, so like this is like right when like Rock Band, Left 4 Dead, games like that were coming out. And we would play online, and I was always the dude fucking things up. I remember me and my best friend still to this day, someone that I consider my best friend at least, he would come over there with me too, and I remember playing Halo, and my other friend took it so seriously, and we would just like every single time, like whatever campaign we were trying to play through, we would fuck it up somehow at the last minute. Like in Halo 3, I think it was, like you're supposed to drive the little rover into the thing and you all get away safe or whatever. Well, like we just sabotage the mission like right at the last second and watch our friend like freak the fuck out. Hilarious. But what I'm getting at here is the fact that, you know, I'm not really much of a gamer, and I feel like I never talk about that, and I never talk about, like, gaming or anything, and not that I should not run my mouth on that which I do not know. But lately, I've been playing my favorite game of all time. This is, like, it's so pathetic, it sounds so bad, but, like, I've only beat, like, a handful of games, like, ever. That's just not me. That is not like what I want to, in my spare time. I don't sit down and I'm like, you know, I want to play a video game or I want to beat something. And if I do, then it's probably something that I've already played, something that I'm comfortable with, because I hate sucking at video games. Like I'll pop in like a new Uncharted game and I'll be like, God, I am dying over and over and over again. Like, can I stop getting shot? Like, okay, Nathan Drake, I get it. Like, you cannot do a barrel roll and hide behind this thing or else you're gonna get shot. But I don't know how to move the controls this quickly. My hand-eye coordination or my thought processes just don't work like this. Unless, I guess it's ingrained in my system for so long. But Resident Evil 4, my favorite game of all time, a revolutionary game, one that changed gaming. Most gamers will tell you that they at least like it. And most will at least honor the fact that it was like revolutionary in the sense that it brought a new style of like, you know, playing and shooting. Like, it wasn't just a rail shooter anymore. It actually had some like point and shoot and like run and spin and shoot things. And while obviously we've advanced a lot past this, I still play this game like probably at least once a year. And I've been playing through it right now, and I feel so dumb because I had never played through the like extra missions before. You know, if you've played Resident Evil before, you know the general theme of it. You know, it started in Raccoon City, the outburst, you know, the T-virus. I'm actually kind of a Resident Evil fanboy. Like, I've played all of the games, at least somewhat. I haven't beat all of the games by any means, but I've played the old ones, like on the PS1, the PS2, the GameCube, all that stuff, even if it was just at friends' houses, because my first system that I ever owned, my first actual console, was a PS2. So, Resident Evil 4 was my first exposure to this series, and I'm glad that it was. I remember being so disappointed whenever I was like, oh, this is Resident Evil 4. I should go back and play the others because they've been released on PS2. Little did I know that those were rail shooters. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And like, they have their charm to them, and I'm just glad that we advanced past like a camera, like a fixed camera angle, like above somebody, and watching like somebody crawl around, and then like you unlock a door and then you're at another fixed camera angle. Hated that. Love the pre-rendered backgrounds and stuff on Resident Evil 4. And I know I'm sounding super geeky to those of you who don't game or else have never heard me talk about gaming before. I don't know. I either sound like a noob or else I sound like a nerd. It's one of the two, and I'm sure that you'll let me know. Anyways, with Resident Evil 4, I felt so dumb because I had never played the side campaigns before. You know, there's the main campaign, obviously, and I've beat the main campaign probably, God, this sounds so bad because it usually takes me about like 9 to 10 hours each time, depending on how long it's been and how rusty I am. But it normally takes me about 9 to 10 hours to play through a campaign, and that's all 6 chapters of the regular game. And I've probably beat the game like 35 times total. And some of that has been lost. You know, I had it originally on PS2, lost the memory cards, had to start from scratch. Then my disc broke one time. I remember that, and I didn't have the game for a while. And I finally got another copy once I got a PS3 in '09. And I downloaded it. I think I bought it from the PlayStation Store that time and just downloaded it straight to it. And now I've got it again on PS4. This is like the most booted game ever. Seriously, I had it on the Wii too. So I've played this game literally everywhere and beat it on every system. I had this damn game on my phone. I don't think I was able to beat it, but I remember I had this game on mobile. That's like how into this Resident Evil 4 shit that I've been in the past. And honestly, at the time of recording this at least, I've been back into that world again. And yeah, it's kind of taken over at this point once I found out these side missions that I've never played. So Separate Ways is one, and I can't remember the other one. Something about Agent, like the Agent Ada or whatever it was. I don't know what it's called. I haven't played that one yet because I'm actually not done with Separate Ways yet, but it's been so fun. And this whole time I feel so stupid. I bought this game on how many systems now? And I've never even touched Separate Ways because I'm always like, oh, you know, it's probably just a little bit of extra content or a little like mini like thing where you see a little bit of a mini movie and you might fire a few shots. This is an entire fucking game within a game. Where was my head at whenever I was thinking like, oh, just ignore this? I mean, I'm pretty sure that I've had friends tell me to play this before and I've just ignored it because I'm just like, I don't know, I can't even be bothered to look up a tutorial or a walkthrough just to see what I'm up for. But now that I've started playing that, it makes me want to play other games, but at the same time, I have this weird thing where I just don't feel motivated. Like, do you know what I mean whenever I say that? Like, whenever I'm just like, you want to play like one game and you just want to play that game. You don't want to play anything else. It's like you find a new album and you're like, I don't want to listen to anything else for like a month. And I'll jump from game to game like that. Like, I might just like bullshit around on Grand Theft Auto. Like, I'll buy the Grand Theft Auto games every time they come out. I'll play the mission for about a week and then I just put in the cheat codes and run around and do stupid shit until I get bored. And then I'll play it again the next night and the next night, and then I'll take the game out and put in something else. And I'll go through long periods of time where I just won't play video games at all. They bore me, and I'm just like, I want to get out and like do something else. And I do feel that still. I feel like sometimes I just feel like trapped in the house, and I'm just like, ugh, cabin fever all the time because I'm either like working on videos or like I'm waiting to see my girlfriend. I'm in a long distance relationship, for those of you listening that don't know. And it's just sometimes I feel like, you know, like people have like moved away, or else like I'm not friends with the people that I used to be friends with anymore for various reasons. And I don't know, it gets boring sometimes, like in between like waiting to do things with my girlfriend whenever we do. And we're both kind of like the, what's the personality trait? Kind of like loners, kind of just keep to yourself type people. We're super introverted. That's the word I'm looking for. Introverted. Why can I never remember that? I should be saying more. It's coming to terms with it is one thing, but damn. Like, I was definitely a shy kid, and I would not say you would not know that I'm shy if you came up to me. Like, if you met me in person, like many people have met me at concerts, like the Paramore concert that I went to not too long ago. I had like 20 people come up to me at that show. That was the most I had ever been recognized. And that was in Raleigh or Charlotte, North Carolina. I can't remember. I think it was Raleigh. And, you know, you would never know because I talk to people and I can just like automatically put on this front. But at the same time, it's kind of like draining and taxing, you know, because you put on that front and it's almost like draining a battery life on a phone because you're just like, oh, you're using it a lot. You know what I mean? Like you're using your persona a lot. And then it just drains you. And your battery's just like, plug me in. AKA put me in bed. Or else put me in front of my computer. Or put me in front of Hulu or Netflix. That's how I feel about it. That was a weird... I don't know. I actually... You know what? Fuck it. I'm proud of that comparison. That was a good on the fly just coming up with something to compare it to. That actually makes a lot of sense. So... golf clap for you, John. Proud of you. Proud of you. No, it's, something with my personality where I feel like I want to do things a lot of the time, but then again, I'm just like, oh, that would be so much work. And my girlfriend Hannah and I were talking, and we're like, we're like so easily like we can talk ourselves down from plans just like that. Like we could have had plans for like a week, and we were looking into like our personality types, and we were like, oh yeah, but we could like so easily like talk ourselves out of that. Like, oh yeah, well, what are we gonna do today? Well, the night before we'll say, oh, we're gonna go grab KFC, we're gonna get our blanket and whatever else, cooler. We're gonna just pack it up and go to the mountains because we're in North Carolina and we have mountains and the beach. So be jealous. But we could say that the night before, and then it could be just something completely different the next day. Even if it's the nicest day ever, we're like, but that looks like a lot of work. Or like, oh, but we could do this instead, and that's easier. And that sounds so bad because it seems like laziness, but it's really, I think, something to do oddly with like being introverted. So you have to push yourself to even like go do activities like that. But that's something that I think that we both want to do like over the holiday season. Like we just want to like do more things. And sometimes I get so caught up in like creating stuff or trying to create stuff and then getting like burned out on it. That's another reason why like I feel like I'm happy for this. I don't know who's going to be listening to this. I don't know how many people will tune in, but a small audience is fine for something like this. I need to not worry about numbers like that, and I push myself too hard sometimes to like focus on something like, oh, if I'm not hitting a certain like number on this video, or if I'm not, having any comments like on a review that I do, like no one gives a shit about this. Like I need to talk about things and do things because number one, I feel passionately, like yes, I'm going to cover plenty of popular stuff whenever it comes to like music and shit, or like stuff like that. But, at the same time, I want to talk about or else not force myself to do too many things just for the sake of like, oh, I know that'll get views. Like, oh, like, for instance, I didn't cover the Kelly Clarkson album recently. Even though I had plenty of requests to, I'm sure it would get views. I don't care to listen to it. At this point in 2017, I have listened to way too many albums. And I need to get back to like being more of like a music fan first, I think. That's something that's hard for me to say, hard for me to talk about, because it sounds bad on paper. It sounds like I don't want to listen to music, but it's because I love music that I want to get back to loving music first. And I don't think it'll ever just be first, but I want it to at least be tied with the work. I don't want it to always feel like work whenever I'm listening to an album. I shouldn't sit down with the new album from insert band here and be like, all right, let's listen to this thing and form an opinion. Sometimes it's just nice to throw something on and to try my best like to get out of my head and like not think about it. And it's a difficult come down because I'm in that process right now. I'm in the come down process. So this is probably so loud for you guys. I'm sorry. I'm drinking water because my throat gets so dry. I haven't talked like this long in a long time. Like not consecutively at least, because I'm used to like being like, all right, done with that like sentence that I was going to say in the review. Now, gulp down some water or like whatever it is, just to keep, I don't know. I got throat issues. Anyways, but back on track with what I was saying there, it kind of segues into what I was saying. But I was talking about like concerts, people coming up and meeting me. Yeah. Oh, you skipped forward in the podcast and you didn't hear that part? Then maybe you should go back and try that section again because you missed out on some vital information. I was talking about people coming up to me at concerts and stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of an ego boost, but at the same time, it's fun. Because I like to see these people. I don't think that I'll ever be that big, but like I'm not at that level where it's just like overwhelming or there's so many people. It's like at a level where I recognize some of these people from like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube comments and that sort of thing. Like at least like the name if they tell me their name. And I try to like always ask somebody's name if they meet me and like, oh, did you like want to get a picture? Or like, oh, are you having fun at the show? And I love that. I like that I get to like actually see viewers and stuff like that. It's just, I think concerts are the best place to see viewers because obviously that's what I'm known for, talking about music. And it is, but like I said, it's kind of like a little ego boost because like I was there at the Paramore show with one of my friends and he was like, dude, so many people have come up to you. And like 20 doesn't sound like a lot, But, you know, like before the show started or else out in the lobby and stuff like that, like that's a decent amount of people that at least like came up to me or else said like, oh, I know who you are, like that sort of thing. And my friend isn't like a casual, like he's more of like, I guess he's like every now and then he'll check in on my channel. But we talked about before that and he was like, I was like, do you even know how many, like, what, like, do you even keep up with my channel at all? And he was like, how many subs are you at? And like now, like 10,000, like 15,000. And I was like, when was the last time you clicked on my channel? I haven't been at 10,000 subscribers on the main channel or else 15,000 since 2015. And that's crazy to think about because, you know, some of these channels, they blow up every night. Like, you know, like some of these reaction channels and stuff, they're already at 150K subs. Am I jealous? 100%. Do I think that they're like super happy with their content? And most of them probably don't care, but some of them probably started to feel dead inside. And that's why I respect people like Sean C, who just kind of changed it up. Like, yes, he still does some reactions, but he also like just voices his opinions on hip hop and that sort of thing. So that's why I like people like Sean. Like they do reactions, but they also like try to go in depth even in that reaction with like thoughts. And they also do like reviews, think pieces, that sort of thing. I keep getting off topic here, but I think that that's what this is for. Break the chain, you know, going all over the place. Break the mold. Break the mold. Break the mold of the typical just formatted podcast. And I might have like recurring things that I do. And all of mine are going to have one specific story that I do have planned out. And that'll probably close each episode. I do have an idea written down here for it. But I wanted to just kind of be loose. I want to like write down like notes and stuff. And I just want to be able to go off of that little scratch pad, you know, and talk about it. But with concerts, also, like, I like meeting viewers and fans. And I obviously really enjoy shows, but there's aspects to it that just suck for me now that I get older. Because, well, one, I'm 6'6". I'm really, really tall for all of those who like to comment that on my Instagram photos with my girlfriend. And she's really short. So, yes, I'm fucking tall as hell. But it sucks because, like, I have trouble with my back, like, from like, sitting or standing too long. And, you know, like, your legs start to hurt and your feet start to hurt. And I feel like an old damn man, like, after dancing for a little bit at a show or whatever it is, like, moving around, rocking out. It's fun. And but for these, like, shows that I go to now, I feel like it's got to be something that I like really like want to go to. Like I really like the music. Like back in the day, I would just kind of casually go to shows more. And now that's like out of the question. And it's also kind of devolved in terms of my experiences that I have. Because back in the day, it was more of like an involved crowd that just like wasn't focused on themselves and their phones. And now it's like a sea of phones shoot up as soon as the band like walks on stage. And you sometimes, like even me, like people's hands are like so tall and so thick. There's so many of them that I can't even see the band coming out, especially depending on where I'm standing. And there's some people who will just sit there and literally film the entire show on their phone. And not even like they can't even have the decency to film that shit in like horizontal. They can't even do it in the proper way that's going to capture everything. No, you got to do it in the fucking up and down black bars. And there's some people who will literally just sit there and Snapchat or Instagram story the entire thing. And I'm thinking, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, who is watching this? Nobody gives a shit about your shitty, low-quality 244p Snapchat story. And Snapchat, I guess, and I don't have Snapchat myself, never will. But apparently now you can just like hold down the record button and it just keeps like going. It just takes multiple clips. And think about that. Think about if you've got like a 40-minute Snapchat story going. Who the fuck cares? Guess what? Go to the show and actually go to the show. Take a couple of clips. That's fine. I've never had a problem with that. I never will. If you got to prove that you're there, if you got to take some clips to like show friends and stuff or just to save for yourself later, that's fine. I'm not ever going to have a problem with that. It gets to be a problem whenever you're standing there or else sitting there the entire show and just living the concert through your phone. Like, you're holding the phone, like, right in front of your face, and you're just, like, glued to that record button, like, oh, am I getting it? Or even if you're just casually, like, holding it to the side, and you're just letting it go and go and go. There was a funny video that I saw recently. I had this idea before I saw this video to talk about this, but I saw this really funny video. It was on Trending. I actually ended up subscribing to the channel. I think the dude's name is Gus, that does sketches and vlogs and stuff, but I think mainly he's been leaning towards short little sketches lately. And it was called something like your Snapchatting friend or something like that. Your Snapchatting friend went to a concert, and you know exactly what it is. If you're on Snapchat or else you're on Instagram and you see your friend that went to the Metallica concert, or they went to the A Day to Remember concert, or whatever it was, and all it is just snap, 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 snap the entire time. It's just noise and like dark shaky cam to anybody watching it on their little tiny phone. And the people capturing it are acting like they're fucking James Cameron or some shit. Like, oh, this is Avatar, and the people up on stage are in my movie, and I have to capture every angle and every member of the band and zoom in and type quirky captions on it and stuff like that. It's out of control at this point, and it just drives me nuts how people are so fucking involved and so narcissistic. It's all about them. Like, I see guys and girls both just like Snapchatting themselves with the band. Like, they'll hold their phone up if they're like near the front, and they're like in selfie mode. You know, they're in selfie mode, like holding the camera up to themselves, like, oh yeah, I'm here with fucking Post Malone, front row, it's so sick. And they're like talking, like while fucking Post Malone or whoever else is singing. And it's just like, that's really what you're gonna do with yourself. That's how you're gonna conduct yourself. Okay, you just paid $40, $50, $100, depending on where you are at this show, to sit on your phone the entire time and to make sure that everyone is seeing what a great time you're having. Just another problem that I have. I fucking hate our modern culture for the most part, a lot of aspects of it, but I love it at the same time because I wouldn't be doing this right now. I wouldn't have the technology to do it. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel because YouTube wouldn't exist if we didn't have our modern advanced technology and the mobile app and everything like that. And it's a love-hate relationship. I hate what it's done to us and how vain, vapid, ignorant, stupid, psychotic, insert adjective here, it's made us. And at the same time, it's accomplished a lot of good. I mean, just look at what happened in Vegas and all of, the unfortunate, like, just the awful, awful tragedy that we saw there. And the deaths were weighing on everyone's mind, but then something like GoFundMe, a GoFundMe is started by multiple people, like Casey Neistat, I think a politician that was in Las Vegas. It's just incredible to see that pop up and so much money that couldn't have been just pulled out of thin air like that without something like GoFundMe or Indiegogo or whatever it might be. It's phenomenal to see people come together for a great cause like that. And so I definitely love so many aspects of what technology has given us, but there's so many detractors. Like, I worry for my potential child someday, and it's just like, you're not getting a fucking iPad when you're 2. You're not getting an iPhone at age 5 and an Instagram account at age 7. You're not doing it. It's just not happening. I don't give a shit if Billy down the street is doing it. I don't care if Mandy's doing it. It's fucking not happening. You like my Billy and Mandy reference there? It's right around Halloween whenever I'm recording this. So yeah, Billy and Mandy. Grim and evil? No one? Okay, I'm old. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it, except for our final story. I hope you've been enjoying so far, and we're gonna go out on a Halloween-related story since I'm recording this like right after, Halloween happened, early November. Who knows whenever you're listening to this, but let's tell a Halloween-related tale. I'm gonna go with a funny one rather than, I don't really think I have any scary ones, but let's go with a funny one. Actually, I might have 2 for you. I'll see how long this first one takes. So, this first one dates back to whenever I was in 4th or 5th grade. I was just running out of time trying to come up with a costume, and I went to a private Christian school, a different one than the one that I graduated from, but still this one was a little bit more like lax and chill, and it was a church attached to the school. And honestly, they put on a pretty good harvest festival and a trunk or treat, like the alternative to trick or treat type thing every year, and it was respectable. You know, it was a nice, fun time. They grilled out. They had roasted marshmallows. They had trunk or treat for all the kids. They had hay rides, all that good stuff. And they were kind of like out, not in the middle of nowhere, but they did it in a place where they could like take a tractor like down like a kind of main paved road and stuff, and it would be like okay. So I remember like running out of time trying to pick a costume. That's rewinding a bit, I know. But I was at Rite Aid with my mom, and this was back whenever it was Eckerd's. Shout out to all the 90s kids that'll remember back before Rite Aid bought out Eckerd's. But I went in there with my mom because I couldn't find a costume that I wanted anywhere. And I finally just had to pick. And my friends all had these like cool costumes, like, oh, you know, somebody's a Power Ranger, or somebody's like Freddy, you know, from, you know, the Nightmare movies. I don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know why that was evading me. Somebody, you know, some people were like horror icon stuff, and I could not find anything that I wanted to be. And keep in mind, I'm in like 4th or 5th grade, and like we were all relatively sheltered kids, so nothing too crazy from anyone. I think, like, seriously, the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff was like the most extreme that I saw from anyone. So what do I buy? After hours and hours of looking around at various stores, I went Halloween 4th or 5th grade as a blue M&M. Yep, not kidding. Went as a blue M&M, and that thing looked like a sumo wrestling like just a whole thing. It looked like a sumo wrestling, just a whole get-up. That's what the outfit and costume looked like to me. And I got a little bit laughed at, but not really, because one kid's mom made him go as like Mickey Mouse, so I think most of the kids' insults got directed towards him, so I was just like, yes, like Eminem's cool and in the clear. Eminem's a rapper. It's all good. I've been completely cleared. And it's funny to me that I kind of got off the hook there, but as I was kind of rejoicing in the fact that I wasn't the one that was going to get picked on for my ridiculous outfit that I picked up last second. I mean, I'm talking, I even had the white gloves. Like you see in the commercials, they've got like the white hands and everything. I had the gloves too. And I had on like black sweatpants. So like I'm entirely a milk chocolate M&M. Blue M&M at that. We get on the hayride that I was talking about, the little haunted hayride. And this thing is no joke. Like, there's like, you know, people jumping out, the whole chainsaw shit, all that stuff. Like, the church went all out for this. And we go down this bumpy road, and it takes a detour where it kind of like goes off of the paved road and onto like a little like kind of like hayfield, like cornfield type thing. And this is all in the dark, keep in mind. And so, like, I'm joking around with my friends, like, I'm trying to kind of be cool, you know? Like, I'm trying to, like, play it off like, oh, yeah, no hands, like, I'm standing up on the hayride. Well, they're all laughing and stuff, like, oh, it's, so, like, it's funny or whatever, like, you're just, you know, you're not holding on, it's, you know. And so, right around this time, I'm still standing. That's when the driver decides to go off-roading. And we go off the paved road, and I'm standing near the back, and it's one of those things where it's got a little tiny tailgate, but like not really. If you've ever been on a hayride before at like any of these guided tours, you know what I'm talking about. Like it's a little kind of fence around it, but it's not even enough to like stop a toddler from like falling off if they were like to just lean straight back. So that's what I'm dealing with here. And as he goes off of the road, we hit a major just dip. Like, it's like the guy didn't even, there wasn't even like a carved out path, and who knows what's in this field, like off to the side. It's just like, you know, pulling over on the side of the road. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't want to pull over in the grass anywhere because who knows what you're going to do, if you're going to fall in a ditch or a pothole or whatever. Well, as this guy goes full speed in his tractor, which isn't that fast, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 miles an hour, but as this dude hits it full speed, I am like launched off of the back of this wagon. And this wasn't just like an easy fall or anything. Thank God I did not hit the pavement, but this is crazy to even remember because I haven't talked about this in years. But I lost a glove like in midair, just throwing my hands up. One of my gloves stayed on the actual, like the tractor, like what is it called? The trailer. It was on the trailer being pulled behind the tractor. And I just go flying over the back. And I'm not wearing a helmet or anything. Like I wasn't the blue M&M with the blue helmet. I went flying off of the back of this thing. And it was kind of painful as I kind of did a barrel roll. Like I hit my shoulder hard and just like rolled on the ground like a few times. Like we were going fast enough for me to do a couple of rolls. Like I'm probably making it sound like super intense. I wasn't dying, nothing was broken or anything, but my friends are dying laughing at this point. Like the tractor doesn't stop either. It keeps going. And they're moving like 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, still going through this field, just plowing on through. And here I am in my blue M&M costume that is muddy now because, one, it was kind of muddy. It wasn't like it just rained, but you know whenever it's like been a few days since it rained and if you step in like mud, it's still a little slimy. It was that kind of mud, and I had on white gloves like I mentioned. One of them went flying, one of them went in the mud as my hand tried to break my fall. Oh God, it's traumatizing to even think back on, but yeah, my friends are laughing and everything like that. I'm running trying to catch up with this tractor, and somebody, I guess eventually, I think one of the adults that was on the ride finally tells the tractor driver, like, hey, this kid in an M&M costume is running behind. Should we stop and see what that's about, or are we just gonna let him keep going? Let him keep going? We can let him keep going. It's fine. It's kind of funny to watch him just running after this thing. I'm not gonna lie. But like, you know, we might be liable or something. I don't think that was the conversation that happened, but I'm just spitballing here. Could have been an adult that hated me for being young and a menace. But perhaps not. They stopped the tractor. I get back on and I'm kind of banged up. The most fucked up part is that none of the adults really asked how I was or anything. Like, they just made sure that I got back on. I guess they thought I had just, like, tried to be funny and, like, stepped off of the ride or whatever, and then I was, like, trying to catch up to see if I could do it as, like, a dare from my friends. That was not the case at all. Launched off of the back as we hit a hole in, like, the dirt and the grass, and I'm standing up right at the back of this thing. So, falling off the back of a hayride on Halloween, that is quite the memory right there. My friends definitely didn't stop talking about that one for the next week at school, but it was kind of funny because I got a lot of attention from it, and they were like, you know what, that was actually pretty cool. Like, you know, you took that huge fall, and it looked a lot worse than it was, to be honest, and yes, I milked the hell out of it, of course. I'm in, you know, middle or elementary school. Of course you're gonna milk that shit. It's like getting a cast, and of course you want everybody to sign it. I want the girls coming up to me, and I want them signing it too, because, I mean, like, of course, at that time, I was so shy, especially to girls. I'm not going to be approaching them unless I've got some sort of injury or something, and they're like, oh my God, like, what happened? And then I actually have an excuse to talk. That's the kind of kid that I was. No, it was fine. It was fine to milk that because, you know, I wasn't severely hurt, but it did look pretty badass, and people were taking note of that. I took flight on Halloween, except not on a broomstick. It ruined my M&M costume, though. I had that in the closet for a few years after that, and then I finally just got too painful. Had to get rid of it. The memories, man. The flashbacks. Couldn't handle that shit. That's it for this first episode of Break the Chain. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, guys. What do you think of the format? Any suggestions for things that you want me to talk about in future episodes? Let me know in the Patreon comments, or if you're watching this late on ARTV Extras, then you can leave a comment down below. I'm going to try to get everything formatted. I've recorded the first episode now, obviously, so now all that's left to do is get everything behind the scenes together, like changing the Patreon stuff and the reward levels, and, you know, getting stuff ready for ARTV Extras, a thumbnail, I guess, for the audio upload and that sort of thing. But don't forget, guys, if you are on Patreon and you listen to this on Patreon and you're like, I want to listen to this somewhere else, if you are on Patreon and it's only for my patrons here, $5 and up, you can listen to the podcast in your favorite podcast app. All you got to do is go to my Patreon page, select the $5 or more per month support level, and from there you can unlock all of my posts that have the podcast. And of course, this is the first one. All you got to do is copy the little thing that I'll put on there. It's just a link that you can plug in, and you can just subscribe to the feed, and you can easily put it in like Apple Podcast or whatever else you'd listen to it on. But you can add podcast by URL. You know, you just go to library, add podcast by URL, copy a little code that I put in there, and as long as you're a Patreon supporter, you can get those podcasts just automatically added to Apple Podcast or your favorite podcasting machine. Thanks for listening to the first episode. Please Be honest. Let me know if it was entertaining. I'm going to try to keep these between like 40 minutes to an hour each time. Let me know if it was awful. Let me know if you loved it. I hope you loved it. I had fun with it. My voice is going because I haven't talked this much in a while. But I had fun with it. So anyways, guys, until next time, this was Break the Chain. I'm John, and I'll see you for more podcasts soon. Actually, you'll hear me from more podcasts soon. I'm used to saying see. Damn.